Hello, everybody. Welcome back to today's top topics of November 1st, 2021. So, in today's topics, I will be discussing with you no time bound pact on climate change at the G20, which was a disappointment. We all know that Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi has been on his G20 visit to Rome. Ahead of COP26, Indian website highlights emission gaps. Now, this is something of a welcome thing because it is an Indian website which keeps track of the emissions of both the developed and developing countries to help countries take a very informed decision about the responsibilities of both the developed and developing countries. Rome Declaration, that was the outcome of the G20 meeting. Informal sector shrank sharply in 2020-21, says a SBI report. Rashtriya Divas was celebrated on October 31st. Framework by the Union Finance Minister to PSB banks with NPA up to 50 crore. And Prime Minister reviews the vaccination situation in the country. Also, the last is Modi to launch an India-led initiative to boost infrastructure in small island nations. This is being done as a part of the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. Now, no time-bound pact on climate change at G20. India, we know, is attending the G20 summit at Rome, and the Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal is India's Sherpa at the summit. At the session on climate change and sustainable development during the summit, India had pushed for safeguarding the interests of developing world. Now, the G20 or Group of 20 is an intergovernmental forum of 19 countries and European Union. The G20 has decided to commit to provide $100 billion to help developing countries meet their clean energy targets. But however, no time-bound agreement was reached as the leaders of the top world economies ended the summit in Rome, recommitting only providing 100 million a year to counter climate change by meeting green energy target and only pushing for a greater vaccine equality to fight the COVID-19 pandemic. So the G20 countries also committed to end international financing for all new coal plants by the end of 2021. However, on the other hand, they made no mention of domestic commitments on ending coal power generation. The final communique agreed upon negotiations overnight spoke only of key relevance of achieving global net zero on carbon emissions by and around mid-century without bringing about a definite year by which it is to be achieved. Among the other highlights of the statement was decision to pursue recognition of more vaccines by WHO under the One Health approach of the world, providing finances and technology for vaccine production at the mRNA hubs in South Africa, Brazil, Argentina, and to mobilize more international public-private financing for green projects. Now, the G20 leaders agreed to ensure that 70% of the world's population is fully vaccinated against the coronavirus disease by 2022 and to form a joint task force to deal with the pandemic. The final document, that called the Rome Declaration, is the final outcome of the intense negotiations organized under the Italian presidency. Now, let us look at what was included in the Rome Declaration, that was the outcome of the G20 summit. The theme of the summit was Planet, People, and Prosperity. Now, the Rome Declaration consists of 16 mutually agreed principles. Let us see what they are. Supporting and enhancing the existing multilateral health infrastructure to detect, respond, prevent, and increase preparedness. Working towards monitoring and implementing of multi-sectorial, evidence-based One Health approach to address the risks due to emerging interface between human, animal, and environment. Fostering all of society and health in all policies. Promoting multilateral trading system, enabling equitable, affordable global access to high quality, safe, effective health system, supporting low and middle income countries in a bid to build expertise and develop logical regional manufacturing capacities, focus on data sharing, capacity building, voluntary technology licensing agreements, enhancing support to existing preparedness and prevention structures, investing in worldwide health and healthcare workforce, investing in resources, training, and staffing of diagnostic, public, and animal health laboratories, investing for developing and improving interoperable early warning surveillance, investments in domestic, international, multilateral cooperation, increasing effectiveness and preparedness by extending support and promote meaningful dialogue. These are some of the important points of the Rome Declaration. So we can see that they have mostly focused on health, trade, and certain other aspects of preparedness prevention with regard to sustainable development. Ahead of COP26, India's site highlights the emission gaps. This is another big news. Now, this site is called as Climate Equity Monitor, and it has been developed by Indian organization. So this is a very welcome development just before the COP26, as India has officially endorsed this website made by Indian climate experts that lists the carbon dioxide emissions of developed countries. Now the database aims to highlight disparity between the emissions of developed and developing countries, with countries including United States, Canada, Australia, Western Europe shown as having a net carbon depth, while the developing countries like India and China have a net carbon credit. Now, the key fact of the database highlight is that it is only fair that the developed countries must commit to steeper targets because they are the ones that are still emitting the major amount of carbon dioxide compared to what the developing countries are doing. The Climate Equity Monitor as a site is aimed at monitoring the performance of Annex 1 parties under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which are also mentioned in the Kyoto Protocol, based on principles of Climate Convention, namely equity and the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities. Now, the performance and policies of non-Annex 1 parties will also be provided for. The website was conceptualized and developed by the Climate Change Group at MS Swaminathan Research Foundation, Chennai, and the Natural Science and Engineering Department at National Institute of Advanced Studies. Now, the database lists historical emissions, the amount of carbon dioxide that can be emitted given the aim of keeping 2 degree or 1.5 degrees centigrade and each country's corresponding fair share. The share promises of each country to reduce emissions and existing trajectory of their emissions. The other most important topic is informal sector shrank sharply, and this was given by an SBI report. Formalization of the economy has always been welcome because with respect to mobilization of resources in the form of taxes and also providing social security and providing the proper wages to the laborers, so especially in the form of income security. This will also, formalization of the economy also helps to crack down on the black market or the unaccounted flow of money. So let us see what does the SBI report say. Now it says that informal workers continue to bear the brunt of pandemic adverse effects. We had seen how the agriculture suffered with lack of agriculture laborers because of migration, and also the construction sector, the vendors, etc., daily wage earners suffered. These all come under the unorganized or informal sector. So it says that they have been bearing the brunt of the pandemic's effect. Now, though the pandemic has led to huge devastating impact on all sectors of economy, the impact has been felt more by informal sector. While the formal sector is now back to the pre-pandemic level, the informal sector continues to bear the brunt. This is said by the SBI report. It also gives a share of informal sector may have shrunk to no more than 20% from 52 in 17 and 18, and also calls this a positive development amid the pandemic. There are wide variations, however, in the formalization level in different sectors, but SBI estimated that the informal economy is at the maximum of only 15 to 20% of the GDP in 2020-21, and the remaining being formalized. The IMF policy paper earlier the year estimated that the share of India's informal economy was at 53% in 11 and 12 and improved only marginally to 52%. The unorganized enterprises employed hired workers, where the highest share of unorganized activity being in agriculture, and these belong to small and marginal farmers. Now, the informal sector shrank in agriculture. The report says that the reason for this shrinking of informal sector in agriculture is because of increase in credit penetration. Real estate also seen a significant dip. Now, post 2016, many measures have been taken to accelerate digitization in the economy, and this led to emergence of gig economy, having facilitated higher formalization. In 1718 also, a lot has changed in the economy. The IMF has noted that formalization of economy has increased since adoption of GST, enhanced digitalization and demonetization. Let us look at the few points that how formalization of economy helps. Workers are regulated by various laws that provide them protection, and this provides them with bargaining power. They are able to get fixed wages and can challenge lesser wages. The workers get social security benefit from employees. Money flow is tracked in the economy, thus better laws and compliance, better regulation of business activities. The next most important is regarding conservation in GS paper 3 with regard to the Indus River dolphin, the freshwater species of dolphin found in India. Now, it is regarding the conservation efforts both by the center and the state of Punjab. The state of Punjab declared it as a state aquatic animal in 2019, and it is found in India and Pakistan, especially in Punjab state along the Beas River. Now, the census of one of the most threatened cetaceans, the Indus River dolphin, which is a freshwater river dolphin and found in Beas, is set to commence in winter, and this was said by the center. The Indus River dolphin is classified as endangered by the IUCN. The state of Punjab is protecting even the habitat. The Indus River dolphin was declared as state aquatic animal of Punjab. Now, enumeration of freshwater dolphin is being undertaken as a nationwide project of the central government. At the state level, Punjab government is taking the initiative to conserve dolphin and the habitats, and this project will be implemented over 5 years. Alongside the research, the importance will be given on engaging the local or the riparian communities. This is a very important point. By encouraging community-led biological monitoring. Therefore, the villages that are located around the hotspots of the dolphin will be developed as model community-led conservation. Extension programs will help to develop a group of dedicated individuals who will be called as the Beas Dolphin Mitras of the River Beas to oversee the conservation program. The project will also embark on dolphin ecotourism. Let us see a few points about the Indus River dolphin. The dolphin is believed to have originated in the Tethys Sea. It can be found in lower part of Indus River in Pakistan and Beas River of Punjab. They rely on echolocation to navigate and are blind, and therefore they use this echolocation to even find their prey. Alternate names are Indus blind dolphin, side swimming dolphin, and Bulan. They are believed that the dolphins were endemic to Pakistan, but they were found in Punjab's Harike Wildlife Sanctuary and Lower Beas. Now, the Indus dolphin has a long and a pointed nose. The mammal is the second most endangered freshwater river dolphin. They are brown and grey in color and are blind. The Kanjli wetland, Kali Bain, and the Harike Reserve are taken for their conservation. The next important is Rashtriya Divas, which is being celebrated on 31st October to celebrate the birth anniversary of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, the first Home Minister, and also called as the Iron Man of India. So, Prime Minister Modi administered the National Unity Day pledge at the Statue of Unity in Kevadia. The Rashtriya Divas is being celebrated since 2014, and it is being observed on the birth anniversary of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. He is one of the best disciples of Mahatma Gandhi and was a grassroots leader and a great organizer who understood the thoughts and pulses of the masses. He played a very big role in unifying India after independence without resorting to unnecessary use of force. Now, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel integrated more than 500 princely states in an unparalleled accomplishment of Indian history. The self reliance was among some of the chief tenets of Sardar Patel's economic policy, and economics was an intensely practical science for him. He wanted the Indian economy to be built on surer foundations of increased industrial and agriculture production and increased wealth. Decades after his death, Sardar Patel continues to inspire all those who are engaged in building a resurgent new India. The next most important is regarding a framework come out by the Union Finance Minister for staff accountability, especially with regard to the NPA accounts of up to 50 crore. Now, the guidelines given by the Finance Minister to ensure staff accountability will be implemented in all the public sector banks from April 1st, 2022. Based on the framework, the Department of Financial Services has sent out broad guidelines to be implemented by the banks. These guidelines are aimed to protect the commercial decisions taken by the bank employees and quicker resolution of vigilance cases taking into account the past track record. So, while punitive or punishment is needed to take against officers who have malified intent, the framework says that it is essential to ensure that bona fide mistakes are dealt with compassion and not with punitive action. At present, different banks are following different procedures for conducting different accountability. Also, the staff accountability exercise is being carried out in all accounts that turn into NPAs, thus affecting the morale of the staff. So, the Finance Minister issued the guidelines on staff accountability, rules for bad loans up to 50 crore, excluding the fraud cases. And the guidelines will be implemented on April 1st. The aim is to protect the genuine commercial decisions of the bank staff members. Also, the bank will complete the staff accountability within 6 months from account classified as NPA, and the past track record of employees will be considered while taking into account scrutiny, thus protecting the efficient and the trustworthy bank employees. Now, PM is going to review the vaccination. We all know that there are certain states where still the first dose of vaccination also has not been reached to up to 50% of the population there, and vaccination along with the other measures such as social distancing marks is still very important because the threat of the coronavirus is still not gone, and the variants, the Delta variant is still active in some countries along with India. The meeting will include districts with less than 50% coverage, and Prime Minister Modi will interact with the states of Jharkhand, Manipur, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Maharashtra, Meghalaya, and other states with the districts having low vaccination coverage. Now, to increase the first dose and the second dose of vaccines and ensure faster vaccination, the government has recently launched Har Ghar Dastak program. The next important is that regarding to the small island nations especially, which bear the brunt of climate change related sea level rise and also the intense storm. So apart, as we've seen that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been proactive in dealing with climate change, especially in the form of the International Solar Alliance, the Coalition for Disaster Resilience Infrastructure, etc. Therefore, now Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to come up with the launch of infrastructure for resilient island states called as the IRIS in presence of leaders from central countries at the COP26. The new program for small island states is a part of the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, which is an Indian initiative launched by Modi at the United Nations General Assembly in 2019. During the pandemic, the coalition did not work much, but now this initiative for the small island nations will see a proactive performance by the Coalition for Disaster Resilience Infrastructure. Now, under the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, the countries come together to share the technology and knowledge to build disaster resilient infrastructure, which is one of the most important steps to mitigate climate change and also an important part of disaster management. Many of them face real and growing threats to their very existence because of rising sea level and also major events such as storms triggered by climate change. And this can knock out important infrastructure like airports or power supplies. Therefore, to build them with more efficient and climate resilient infrastructure, Pradhan Mantri Modi has come about with this program called as the Infrastructure for Resilient Island States. CDRI was launched as a global partnership to promote resilience in critical infrastructure everywhere. 25 countries have joined this coalition, including Germany, Italy, Japan, Australia, and the United States. Now, CDRI is the second international collaboration set up by India in climate change sphere. The other being ISA, which is now a treaty-based intergovernmental organization. CDRI has become a knowledge network through which member countries can learn from each other and adopt best practices in developing climate resilient infrastructure. CDRI does not itself aim to create any infrastructure but only enhances the collaboration between the various countries. So, this brings me to the end of the most important topics of today. I shall meet you all tomorrow with another list of topics for tomorrow. Until then, bye bye.